Questions, questions, questions. I absolutely love questions. And I've got to admit, there's about 300 questions in this book, and they're pretty good, even though I say so myself. I honestly believe that asking questions is one of the greatest skills that a person can have. I believe that questions are crafted or designed. And we've all been on the receiving end of a really great question. Think for yourself. If ever you found yourself going, whew, good question, it means that that question that you've asked has just arrived at the moment that was right for it. The right wording, the right phraseology, designed to cause you to think in that moment. And for a coach, it is so important to be able to know how to design and craft a question skillfully so that it helps the person to think. And I'm going to encourage you to think about questions of, if you imagine you were in imagine a gymnasium where perhaps if you've ever seen a Rocky film, and you go in and there are people there where punch bags are hanging down and people are punching into them, or a little pummel ball where people are going like that. Imagine then there's a boxing ring, and inside the boxers there are two boxers padded up, and they're sparring and they're trading punches. And in the films there's a little guy about this high wearing a flat cap in his 70s or so that lives in the corner of a gym, and he's just shouting out a couple of words to the boxers, and these are the words: duck and dive, or bob and weave, bob and weave. I want you to imagine that when you're in a coaching session, you're not trading punches. You're actually trading high quality questions for high quality thinking. And I am the little man in the background with the flat cap on, behind you, just shouting a couple of words in your ears. And these are the words: what and how, what and how, what and how, and a bit of who. Because if you can remember what and how and a bit of who, and start your questions with those words, you're going to be really on the right track. So we're talking about asking open questions: what, how, who, that can't be answered yes or no. Now, the next thing I want to share with you that's really important is the two different types of question that what I call are high quality questions. And this is the purpose for which they're designed. I mean, it's like an art form designing these questions, but it's very simple when you know the rules. So the first type of question is designed to focus the mind, to get clarity, to get real specifics. It's not about opening the mind, it's about clarity. So we would use this at the start of a coaching session. When defining a goal, we would be asking people, what exactly or specifically do you want to achieve? What is the exact calendar date? How will you measure that? So notice the language is very definite. It's what will. What do you want to definitely achieve? Okay. We can also use focus the mind questions to test the strength or assess something. So for example, what is your strongest reason? Is asking you to focus on it. Or on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is low and 10 is high, where are you currently in self-belief? So we're asking you to focus your mind and pick a number that represents where you are at the moment. So that's about focusing the mind. Obviously, when we get into prioritizing, similar sort of thing, we're saying, what do you want to achieve and by when? The second type of question is what is called high quality questions designed to open the mind and engage the imagination. And these are typically used when generating ideas or doing possibility thinking. And whilst they still start with what, how, or who, this time the language is possibility based. So for example, it means, or you could say it, what possibly, how possibly, who possibly. You also use words like could and might. So what possible tasks could help you move forward? Who could you possibly involve? How might they possibly help you? What are the possible obstacles you might encounter? So there's always going to be more than one answer to a possibility-based question. The real skill is not just in knowing how to phrase them like that, but it's knowing when to use them in the coaching process. So you'll start the framework, start using the framework here, And we'll start with the goal, self-belief and reason why. Okay? And we'll be asking questions to focus the mind. What do you want? By when? Let's be specific. How much do you want it? And scale of 1 to 10, how achievable do you believe it to be? Then we move on to possibilities, opening the mind. And, we might spend anything from 5, 10, 15 minutes maybe, if you've got the time in the coaching session, just encouraging people to really open their mind. If you ask a question in the middle of that possibility thinking phase that focuses the mind, it's very difficult to get it back to opening again, or easily. Let me give you an example. If I was saying, what could you possibly do? How could you possibly do it? And then drop in a question that goes, who will you involve? You've now got to evaluate and make a decision. And what I want you to do is to keep thinking possibilities. So keep them open, keep opening the mind up, and keep believing there are more possibilities to do that. We can then focus the mind when it gets to priorities, planning, taking personal responsibility, and reviewing our progress. So that's it. 2 types of questions: focus the mind, open the mind, what and how, what and how, what and how, and a bit of who.